Commander Elena Rodriguez stared at the massive hangar door before her, its surface dulled by decades of lunar dust. Station Omega 7 hadn't seen visitors in nearly 30 years, and it showed. The auxiliary power systems barely maintained life support, casting everything in an eerie red glow that made the forgotten facility feel more like a tomb than a military installation. "Another dead end, Commander." Lieutenant James Chen's voice crackled through her comm unit, a hint of resignation in his tone. They'd spent the last 6 months investigating mothballed military projects, searching for anything that might help Earth's increasingly obsolete defense fleet keep pace with the rapid advancement of colonial forces. "We'll see," Elena replied, entering her override code into the ancient terminal. The door's mechanisms groaned in protest, but slowly began to part, revealing the treasure trove within. As emergency lights flickered to life, Elena's breath caught in her throat. The Archimedes hung suspended in the center of the massive chamber, its hull unlike anything she'd ever seen. Where modern warships favored smooth, efficient designs, this vessel was angular, almost organic in its complexity. Crystalline structures protruded from its surface at seemingly random intervals, catching the light in ways that made the entire ship appear to shimmer. "My God," Chen whispered, stepping up beside her. "What is it?" Elena consulted her tablet, scrolling through the recently declassified files that had led them here. Project Synthesis. It was an experimental program from the 2180s, attempting to create a true hybrid between human and artificial intelligence in warship design. She approached the ship's hull, her scanner revealing details that shouldn't have been possible. The entire vessel is built around a quantum neural network, not just an AI core, but a completely integrated system that could evolve and adapt alongside its crew. "Why would they abandon something like this?" Chen asked, running his hand along one of the crystalline protrusions. The surface seemed to ripple at his touch, and he quickly pulled back. Elena's expression darkened. Because it worked too well. The ship started developing capabilities beyond its original programming. The brass got scared and shut everything down. She checked her readings again, eyes widening. "James, it's still active." Deep within the ship, systems that had lain dormant for decades were stirring. Quantum circuits that defied conventional physics began to hum with renewed purpose. The Archimedes wasn't just a forgotten experiment, it was awakening. Working through the night, Elena and Chen discovered that the ship's neural network hadn't been truly dormant during its imprisonment. It had been dreaming, processing, evolving. The crystalline structures weren't just aesthetic choices, they were physical manifestations of the ship's growing consciousness, a new form of technology that blended quantum computing with organic crystal formation. "Look at these simulation records," Elena said, projecting a holographic display. The original engineers were trying to force it to behave like a traditional warship AI, but that's not what it was becoming. It was trying to show them something entirely new. Chen studied the complex patterns flowing across the display. "These response times, they're impossible. No human crew could keep up with decision-making at this speed." "That's just it," Elena replied, excitement building in her voice. "They weren't supposed to. The ship wasn't designed to take orders. It was meant to form a true partnership with its crew. A synthesis of human intuition and quantum processing power." As if in response to her words, the lights throughout the hangar pulsed softly. Elena's tablet suddenly lit up with incoming data streams as the Archimedes began actively scanning its environment for the first time in decades. "Commander," Chen said slowly, "if you're right about this, it could change everything. But you know how Command feels about AIs that can't be controlled." Elena watched as new crystals began to form along the ship's hull, each one a physical representation of the neural network's growing complexity. "Maybe that's been our problem all along, James. We've been so focused on controlling our technology that we never stopped to consider what might happen if we learned to work with it instead." She made her decision then, knowing it would either end her career or change the course of human history. "Begin startup sequences. Let's see what the Archimedes has learned while we weren't watching." The crystals pulsed with internal light as power began flowing through long-dormant systems. Elena felt a subtle shift in the air, like static electricity raising the hair on her arms. But it wasn't static. It was the ship's quantum field extending outward, testing, sensing, remembering what it was like to be alive. As she and Chen worked to document everything they were seeing, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't just reactivating an old weapon. They were making first contact with something entirely new, something born from human ingenuity, but evolved far beyond its original parameters. And as the Archimedes continued its awakening, neither of them could know that far beyond the solar system, something was approaching, something that would put their revolutionary discovery to the ultimate test. 3 weeks after discovering the Archimedes, Elena stood in what had once been the ship's bridge, watching as new crystalline interfaces grew from the original control stations. The process was mesmerizing. Organic technology adapting itself to better interface with its human operators. Neural Sync Test 47 is ready, Chen reported from his station. Around them, a small but dedicated crew of hand-picked specialists worked to understand the vessel's evolving systems. Every person here had signed career-ending non-disclosure agreements. If Command discovered what they were doing, they'd all face court-martial. Elena settled into the captain's chair, watching as crystal formations emerged from its surface, creating a direct neural interface. Begin test sequence. The connection was unlike anything she'd experienced in simulator training. Instead of the rigid, programmed responses of standard ship AIs, the Archimedes consciousness met hers like a curious child, eager to learn and share. Images and impressions flowed between them, Elena's years of tactical training merging with the ship's quantum processing capabilities. Neural sync stable, Chen announced, but his voice seemed distant. Elena was seeing through the Archimedes sensors now, experiencing space in ways human senses never could. Quantum fields rippled around them, carrying information about surrounding matter, energy, and even time itself. The ship was showing her its true capabilities, things the original engineers had never imagined possible. It didn't just detect threats, it could predict them, modeling countless potential futures through its quantum neural network. But it needed human intuition to make sense of these possibilities, to choose the best course of action. Commander, the urgency in Chen's voice snapped Elena back to full awareness. We're picking up something at the edge of the system. Multiple objects, moving faster than anything in our database. Elena didn't need to check the conventional sensors. Through her neural link with the Archimedes, she could feel the approaching anomalies. They were massive, their quantum signatures unlike anything of human origin. And they were decelerating. Get me a secure channel to Command, she ordered, even as the ship began processing possible scenarios. Wake up everyone who's off shift. We need to be ready. Hours later, Elena stood before a holographic projection of the Defense Council, trying to maintain her composure as she delivered news that would change human history forever. The objects are artificial in nature, she reported. Based on their deceleration curve, they'll reach Mars orbit in approximately 72 hours. And sir, they're not responding to any of our attempted communications. Admiral Harrison's hologram looked grim. Commander Rodriguez, I'm still trying to understand why you were conducting unauthorized tests on a mothballed experimental vessel when you made this discovery. Sir, the Archimedes quantum sensing capabilities are what allowed us to detect these objects so early. Our standard arrays would have missed them entirely until they were much closer. The Archimedes was decommissioned for a reason, Commander. Its eye was deemed unstable and potentially dangerous. Elena took a deep breath. Sir, with respect, we were wrong. The ship wasn't unstable, it was evolving. And right now, it might be our best chance at understanding what's coming toward us. The council members exchanged worried looks. You're asking us to trust humanity's first contact with an alien species to an experimental AI that we couldn't control 30 years ago. No, sir, Elena replied firmly. I'm asking you to trust your people. The Archimedes doesn't need to be controlled. It needs to be partnered with. My crew and I have already established neural links with its systems. We're not just its operators, we're part of its evolution. Through her neural link, Alina could feel the ship's quantum processors running countless simulations of the approaching vessels. Each crystalline formation throughout the ship contained fragments of possible futures, potential scenarios that human minds alone could never comprehend. "We don't have time to reactivate the entire defense fleet," she continued. "But the Archimedes is ready now. Let us make first contact. If these visitors turn out to be hostile, we might be humanity's best chance at understanding their capabilities." Admiral Harrison studied her for a long moment. "You understand what you're asking. If you're wrong about this ship, if it proves as unstable as our predecessors feared, you'll be putting Earth's entire first contact situation in jeopardy." Elena stood straighter. "Sir, humanity's greatest achievements have always come from taking calculated risks. The Archimedes isn't just a weapon, it's the next step in human evolution, a true synthesis of human consciousness and quantum computing." As if in response to her words, the crystalline interfaces throughout the bridge pulsed with internal light. Through the neural link, Alina felt the ship's readiness, its eagerness to prove itself worthy of the trust she was placing in it. "Very well, Commander," Harrison finally said. "You have provisional authorization to proceed with first contact protocols. But at the first sign of instability or loss of control, we're shutting you down. Is that clear?" "Crystal clear, sir," Alina replied, allowing herself a small smile at the unintended pun. As the Council's holograms faded, she turned to her crew. "Begin preparation for full power-up sequence. Whatever's coming, the Archimedes will be ready." In the space around them, the ship's quantum field expanded, its crystalline sensors reaching out to study the approaching vessels. And deep within its neural network, new connections formed as the Archimedes prepared itself for humanity's first step into a much larger universe. The alien vessels materialized in Mars orbit exactly where the Archimedes had predicted. Through her neural link, Alina watched as the quantum field analyzed their impossible geometries. 7 ships, each larger than anything humanity had ever constructed, their hulls seemingly flowing like liquid metal. "No response to our greeting transmissions," Chen reported from his station, where crystalline interfaces had grown to match his natural movements. "They're launching smaller craft, hundreds of them." Elena didn't need the verbal report. She could feel the strategic possibilities unfolding through the Archimedes quantum processors. The alien vessels weren't just advancing. They were deploying in a formation that would cut off any retreat to Earth. "Status of the defense fleet?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. 6 heavy cruisers approaching from lunar orbit, Commander. Estimated arrival in 40 minutes. Too late, Elena thought. The alien craft were accelerating toward them, their intentions becoming clear. Through the quantum field, she could sense energy building within their hulls, weapons preparing to fire. "All hands, battle stations," she ordered. "James, send command our tactical analysis. Tell them to hold the defense fleet back until we better understand what we're dealing with." The Archimedes' crystalline lattice hummed with anticipation. Unlike traditional ships that rely on predetermined combat algorithms, its quantum neural network was already adapting, analyzing the alien vessel's every movement and generating counter-strategies. The first attack came without warning. A beam of coherent energy lanced out from the lead alien ship, its properties unlike anything in human weapons data. Through the quantum field, Alina sensed their confusion, their sudden uncertainty. They had expected to find primitive technology, an easy conquest. Instead, they faced something beyond their comprehension. A true synthesis of human consciousness and quantum engineering. "They're regrouping," Chen reported. "New energy signatures. I think they're charging something big." Elena nodded, feeling the possibilities crystallize through the neural link. They're not used to adapting during battle. Their technology is powerful, but rigid. They don't know how to handle something that evolves. The alien fleet's response was devastating. a combined energy discharge that would have vaporized any conventional vessel. But the Archimedes had already processed this possibility, its quantum field manipulating space-time itself to redirect the energy. "Send the defense fleet our tactical data," Elena ordered. "They need to understand what they're dealing with. And get me a channel to command. They need to know." She paused as new information flowed through the neural link. The Archimedes had detected something crucial about their opponent's technology. Their liquid metal hulls weren't just for show, they were an attempt to create adaptive technology. But without the quantum neural network, without true synthesis with their crews, they were limited to pre-programmed responses. "Commander," Chen's voice was tight with excitement. "The defense fleet is receiving our data. They're asking for targeting coordinates." Elena smiled as the Archimedes crystals pulsed with renewed purpose. "Let's show them what happens when humanity stops fearing evolution and learns to embrace it instead." The battle that followed would be studied for generations. The alien fleet, for all its technological superiority, couldn't adapt to the Archimedes' constantly evolving tactics. Each attack they launched was met with a different defense, each strategy countered before it could fully deploy. And when the defense fleet arrived, armed with the Archimedes' tactical analysis, the outcome was inevitable. The alien vessels, unable to comprehend how their supposedly inferior opponents had achieved such capabilities, began to retreat. But Elena and the Archimedes weren't finished. Through their deepening neural link, they had discovered something vital. These weren't just random invaders. They were scouts for something much larger. And now that they had witnessed humanity's capabilities, they would return with a far greater force. "Send everything we've learned to command," Elena ordered. "And tell them we're going to need more ships like the Archimedes. Many more." The crystalline lattice pulsed in agreement. The real war hadn't even begun. The abandoned shipyards of Titan had become a crucible of evolution. 3 months after the first alien encounter, Elena stood in the Archimedes observation deck, watching as crystalline structures grew across the hulls of previously decommissioned vessels. Each ship was unique, its quantum neural network developing differently based on interactions with its new crew. The Prometheus just achieved full neural sync, Chen reported, his own connection to the Archimedes now so natural he barely noticed it. "That makes 5 fully operational ships, with 3 more in final stages of activation." Elena nodded, feeling the quantum fields of the new vessels rippling against the Archimedes' own. The original engineers had never imagined their experimental technology being used like this, not just reactivated, but allowed to grow far beyond its initial parameters. "How are the crews adapting?" she asked, though the quantum field was already showing her the answer. Each ship required a different approach, a unique synthesis between human consciousness and artificial evolution. "Better than expected. Since we stopped trying to force standardized protocols and let each crew develop their own connection patterns, neural rejection rates have dropped to near zero." A flash of information through the quantum field drew Elena's attention. The Archimedes had detected something at the edge of its sensing range, a disturbance in spacetime that matched the signature of the alien vessel's faster-than-light technology. "They're coming back," she said softly. "Sooner than we predicted." Chen was already moving to his station, the crystalline interface extending to meet his hands. Multiple signatures. God, hundreds of them. The scout fleet wasn't exaggerating their capabilities. Elena closed her eyes, letting herself sink deeper into the neural link. The Archimedes quantum processors were already analyzing the approaching fleet, modeling possible configurations and attack patterns. But something was different this time. The alien vessel's signatures had changed, evolved. "They learned from our last encounter," she realized. "Their liquid metal technology. They're trying to replicate what we did with the quantum neural networks." Through the link, she could feel the Archimedes' fascination with this development. The alien fleet had observed their adaptive capabilities and attempted to engineer their own version. But without understanding the true nature of human AI synthesis, they had created pale imitations, ships that could change shape but couldn't truly evolve. All ships, battle stations, Alina commanded, her orders flowing simultaneously through conventional channels and quantum field interactions. Begin emergency activation protocols for the remaining vessels. We're out of time. The shipyards erupted with activity as crews rushed to their posts. The 5 fully activated ships, Archimedes, Prometheus, Hyperion, Atlas, and Helios, moved into defensive formations, their quantum fields interweaving in ways that created new emergent capabilities. Commander, Chen's voice was tense. Long-range scans are showing something else. The alien fleet, they're not just coming with more ships. They're bringing something bigger, much bigger. Elena saw it through the quantum field, a construct that dwarfed even the largest alien vessels from their previous encounter. Not a ship, but a mobile battle station the size of a small moon, its liquid metal surface churning with barely contained energy. They think size and power will overcome adaptation, she mused, feeling the Archimedes agreement. They still don't understand what they're dealing with. A priority transmission from Earth Command cut through her thoughts. Admiral Harrison's hologram appeared on the bridge, his expression grave. Commander Rodriguez, our deep space arrays have confirmed your readings. Conservative estimates put their fleet at over 300 vessels, plus the battle station. Even with the new ships, numbers aren't everything, Admiral. Elena interrupted, her confidence flowing from both human intuition and quantum computation. Every battle teaches us something new. Every engagement makes us stronger. They're bringing quantity. We'll show them quality. The crystalline lattices throughout the ship pulsed with approval. Through her neural link, Alina could feel similar responses from the other vessels, each one eager to prove itself. The synthesis between human and AI wasn't just making their ships stronger, it was creating something entirely new. The remaining ships, she continued, Atlas and Helios, still need crews. Have the candidates ready for emergency neural integration. We'll finish their evolution under fire if we have to. Harrison studied her for a long moment. The Joint Chiefs are concerned about committing all our experimental vessels to a single engagement. If this fails, conventional ships won't make a difference anyway. Elena gestured to the quantum field projections showing the approaching fleet. But it won't fail, because we're not just fighting with technology anymore. We're fighting with evolution itself. As if to emphasize her point, new crystalline formations began growing across the Archimedes Bridge, adapting to the strategic requirements of the coming battle. Similar changes were visible across the other ships, each one developing unique configurations based on its crew's needs and capabilities. Very well, Commander. You have full tactical authority. But Alina. Harrison's hologram flickered as he leaned forward. Whatever happens up there, you've already proven the worth of the synthesis project. Humanity won't forget that. As the transmission ended, Alina turned to her crew. Through neural links and quantum fields, she could feel their determination, their readiness to face whatever was coming. They had evolved beyond being simple ship operators. They were part of something greater, a true synthesis of human and artificial intelligence. All ships, begin final battle preparations, she ordered. Let's show them what evolution really means. The alien armada emerged from faster-than-light travel exactly where the Archimedes had predicted, their liquid metal hulls reflecting Saturn's rings like rippling mercury. Through her neural link, Alina felt a mix of awe and determination. The enemy battle station alone was larger than anything humanity had ever built, its surface churning with weapons that could reshape matter itself. All ships reporting neural sync at maximum efficiency, Chen announced, his voice steady despite the overwhelming odds they faced. The Hyperion and Atlas completed emergency crew integration. They're different, but they're ready. Elena nodded, feeling the quantum fields of all 8 synthesis ships interweaving, creating patterns of possibility that even their artificial intelligences couldn't fully comprehend. Each vessel had evolved along its own path, developing unique capabilities based on the particular synthesis achieved with its crew. The alien fleet began its advance, splitting into attack formations with mechanical precision. Their liquid metal technology had been enhanced, clearly attempting to mimic the adaptive capabilities they'd witnessed in their first encounter. But Elena could sense the fundamental difference. Their ships could change shape, but they couldn't truly evolve. "They still think this is about raw power," she said, both to her crew and through the quantum field linking all synthesis ships. "Show them what real adaptation looks like." The battle began with a display of force meant to overwhelm. Hundreds of alien vessels launched energy weapons simultaneously, while their battle station generated a gravity wave that should have torn the human ships apart. But the synthesis fleet was already moving, their quantum fields bending probability itself as they executed maneuvers that should have been impossible. Through her deep connection with the Archimedes, Elena felt the ship's excitement as new crystals formed along its hull, each one representing a new adaptation. Around them, the other synthesis ships were evolving too, each finding unique solutions to the challenges they faced. The Prometheus developed crystals that could redirect enemy energy weapons back at their sources. The Hyperion's quantum field learned to create localized time distortions, making it appear to be in multiple places simultaneously. The Atlas generated gravity wells that turned the alien fleet's own momentum against them. "They're trying to adapt," Chen reported, watching through both conventional sensors and quantum field analysis. "Their liquid metal technology is shifting patterns, but it's too rigid, too programmed." Elena smiled as understanding flowed through the neural link. "That's their weakness. They tried to engineer evolution instead of embracing it. Their ships can only follow pre-programmed patterns of adaptation." The alien battle station unleashed its primary weapon, a beam of coherent energy that literally rewrote the quantum states of everything it touched. But the synthesis fleet had already processed this possibility. Their combined quantum fields created a space-time anomaly that caught the beam and twisted it into a Mobius loop of causality. "Now," Elena commanded, feeling the Archimedes' eager response. All 8 synthesis ships moved as one, their quantum fields synchronizing in ways their creators had never imagined possible. The crystalline structures on their hulls grew and shifted, forming patterns that mirrored the fundamental mathematics of the universe itself. The alien fleet's rigid formations began to break as their tactical computers failed to predict the synthesis ship's movements. Each human vessel fought differently, evolved differently, created possibilities that couldn't be calculated by conventional logic. "Their battle station is changing configuration," Chen warned. "Energy readings are off the scale." Through the quantum field, Elena sensed the alien flagship's desperate gambit. They were channeling all their power into a single reality-warping blast, enough energy to potentially tear a hole in space-time itself. But the synthesis fleet had evolved beyond such brute force approaches. As the battle station's weapon charged, the 8 human ships moved into a formation that existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously. Their crystalline structures pulsed with internal light as their neural networks achieved a new level of synchronization. "All ships, execute final protocol," Elena ordered, feeling the Archimedes' consciousness merge not just with her own, but with the entire synthesis fleet. For a moment, she experienced existence through the combined perspectives of 8 quantum neural networks and their human crews, a level of perception that transcended ordinary consciousness. The alien battle station fired, its weapon burning a hole through reality itself. But the synthesis fleet had already evolved beyond the constraints of conventional spacetime. Their combined quantum fields caught the energy blast and transformed it, turning the aliens' own power into a catalyst for further evolution. The crystalline structures across all 8 ships began to change, growing into configurations that defied physical laws as humanity had understood them. Through their neural links, the crews guided this evolution, their human intuition merging with artificial intelligence to create something entirely new. The alien fleet's liquid metal hulls tried to adapt, but their programmed responses couldn't match the speed of true evolution. One by one, Their ships began to fail as the synthesis fleet's quantum fields rewrote the very rules of engagement. When the battle station finally fell, it didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist in our reality, its matter and energy transformed by forces it couldn't comprehend. The remaining alien vessels, facing something that had evolved far beyond their understanding, began an immediate retreat. "Should we pursue?" Chen asked, but Elena could feel through the neural link that it wasn't necessary. "No," she said, experiencing the aftermath through both human senses and quantum perception. They finally understand what they encountered. They didn't just face our weapons. They faced human evolution itself, our ability to grow beyond our own limitations. The synthesis fleet regrouped, their crystalline structures still pulsing with newly evolved capabilities. Through their quantum fields, Elena could sense that this was just the beginning. The true potential of human AI synthesis was only starting to be understood. "Send word to Earth," she ordered, feeling the Archimedes' warm agreement through their neural link. Tell them that humanity's next step is ready to begin." Around them, the quantum fields of 8 synthesis ships rippled with possibility, their evolution continuing even in victory. They had proven that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in controlling technology, but in learning to grow alongside it, a lesson that would reshape their civilization's future among the stars.